Today's episode of Running It Back is here. It's ready. It is hot. I want to thank everybody for subscribing to the channel. New subscribers, welcome. Old subscribers, welcome back. The channel is growing. My name is Patrick Ramirez. This is my show on YouTube. It's called Running It Back. This is where I put up everything that I produce. My stand-up clips, my interviews, my Sunday night talk during the football season, not to mention the movie shows, opening scenes are up there as well with Cousin Adrian. Everything goes up there. This is what I put most of my effort into. And I'm glad that the channel's grown a little bit, little by little, brick by brick. I am building something and you are here with me. Before we get to the episode though, if you want to see me doing live stand-up comedy, April 22nd, here in Pasadena, I am hosting a comedy show put on by a new friend I made at another show. So details to come. I'm hosting it. If you're in the area, come on out. See me do live stand-up comedy. It's going to be fun. Details to come. Today on the show, Jacob Snovel joins me. Jacob is a filmmaker, a producer, an actor, and a writer. And we went to college together. We haven't connected in a long time, but our shared experience in college was worth the conversation alone. We find out how our paths cross, our mutual interests, our different interests, how Jacob sees the world, how he has lived and worked in the film industry all these years as well. And I hope you're sitting down. There's some Oklahoma talk. Okay, I don't want to ruin it. Not to mention, we finished the episode with the Rotten Tomatoes head-to-head game. A very spirited round. Special theme for it as well. So, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber and viewer to the channel, welcome to another great interview. Here is my interview with Jacob Snovel on Running It Back. Joining us today, he is Jacob Snovel. He is at Jake Snovel on Instagram. Jacob, you're labeled on Instagram as dad, producer, actor, style, socks. I don't know what to call you. Most importantly, we went to college together.
Yeah.
It's been a million years. So this is going to be great to catch up, man. So where are you? Where do you live?
I live in Chandler, Oklahoma. That's where I was born and raised. And so I got to move back there. But this office is actually in Edmond, which is, just outside of Oklahoma City. So
right off the bat with some hot Oklahoma regional city talk.
That's right. Yeah. Shout out to all the cities.
Well, like I've been catching up with people that I went to college with because our college was so unique, which we'll get to. But you went to college for film. It was a film school. And you actually work in film, which, number one, it's impressive that you actually work in the field that you studied in. And you're doing it from Oklahoma. So what do you do now? What is your role in the film industry?
Mostly I'm producing. I'm also, I'm acting in quite a few projects, but the real work is in producing. So that's just like packaging up talent and a product and then going and making sure it gets out there in the world. So
and did you always have, I never knew you as being interested in like acting per se. Do you like the acting part of it? Where does that come in for you? Because it seems like you are doing everything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I think it's a problem with growing up in Oklahoma. We just figure out how to do everything because that's the only way to get anything done. There aren't enough people to take care of actual jobs. I started performance-wise. I started as an actor, and it was really, that goes into like how I got into film anyway. I was writing also, and I'm really encouraged to write. I was very ahead of my classmates and stuff in writing. So that was always getting a lot of good feedback there. But I also I think I was 6 years old and I was put in Oliver, the play in the community theater. And I was like, I like this. I'm going to keep doing this. So it just became another way of telling a story. But, when there weren't enough plays to really be in, I started picking up a video camera and making my own story and just basically making movies so that I could have something to be in.
It's so funny, like, you know, every kid, I think like every young kid finds a way, some avenue of performance, you know, whether it be sports, whether it be music, and whether it be like school play. Because I remember as a kid too that the second you could get your hands on a video camera, you just rounded up your friends and you just started making shit. You just
Yep.
started like recreating movies, or be like, watch me jump off the roof, and you would
Yeah.
just record it. And like, I don't know what that is as a kid. Maybe it's just a natural thing of looking for attention or looking for some sort of avenue to get attention from adults. It's interesting. Like I hear that every single kid has something like that. Whereas like
Yeah.
my mom would let me put on a little performance at Christmas time or something like that, you know? So you had
Yeah.
it too as a kid from an early age that you
Yeah.
wanted to perform.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's funny. I feel like it's a way for kids to express themselves. Because everybody's looking for a way to tell stories and to tell something from their own angle and kind of
Mhm.
put that out there. I don't know if it's always about attention or yeah, I don't know what it is because I definitely I had my moments where I needed to be center of attention, but I was really more like I want everybody to just sit and hear this story that I've got for you. You know,
Mhm.
that angle of storytelling. But yeah, man, I guess I forgot about like I did end up grabbing like friends and we'd put on like a Three Stooges act or
Huh.
routine. And like we'd make all the adults like pay attention to us for a second and do
Mhm.
Three Stooges and stuff. That was like really early on. I forgot about
Yeah.
that. But yeah. But
It's
as
funny.
soon
It's
as
funny
like
you
I
mentioned
could
that
put it on
because
tape. Yeah.
we're gonna need that tape for the video, Jake.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that because like when you and I were in college, we would get together and we would make stupid little videos. Of course, we were, you know, 22 years old. We weren't children. Somehow they were also
Yeah.
childlike. And
Yeah.
but it still carried
Yeah.
like, hey, come over here. I'm gonna record something. Let's do something silly.
Yeah.
Well, let's go way back though to start. You grew up in Chandler. You were born there. Your family is all from there.
Yeah, for the most part. My dad's, more his family's kind of more towards the Tulsa side, but still small town.
Hmm.
Chandler's like right in between Tulsa and Oklahoma City, so it became like this commuter town in Oklahoma.
Uh-huh.
So people just raise their kids there.
Yeah,
My
I
mom
was
was,
like, what happens there in
yeah,
Chandler, Oklahoma? Is it a it's a normal sized city? It's a small city? Describe it for me.
yeah. It's population 3,000, and it's been that
Really?
way since it's been that way since statehood. But it's right on 66. It's right on the main turnpike. It's got all the avenues of transportation available,
Hmm.
and it's got a major like insurance agency that does like corporate insurance, and that's really what's kept the town alive forever. But it's got a lot of history there, and like I said, a commuter town, so it's a great place to like raise your kids, and then that has also like brought in a lot of culture to the
Hmm.
place that you wouldn't get in the middle of America normally.
Uh-huh.
It's got a lot of those staples too, but like we've got one of the best for community theater in a small town. Like it's killer,
Huh.
wins awards and all that stuff. There's just a lot of opportunity to do other things. So I think that's made well, and then baseball. It's a baseball town. That's the other thing.
Uh-huh.
I run into people all the time that they're like, "Hey, wasn't there a baseball camp there?" And it's like this world-renowned baseball camp that we had like Jim Gentile from the Yankees was one of the main coaches there for a
Hmm.
while, and I don't know, it was around from the 50s up to 99. But yeah, it's famous for the baseball camp.
Well, it's I found it interesting because I know Chandler through you, because I
Mhm.
know that's where you're from, and you were always repping Chandler. We went to college where everybody's from another city, and
Yeah.
your early money on like this is where I'm from, this kicks ass. You all better start knowing about Chandler. I'm like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Where is it? And like we all sort of like I find this with college when you go to college where everybody is from somewhere else. You either
Mhm.
love your hometown or you fucking hate it. And you
Yeah.
will express it at that college,
Yeah.
and you were all about, you loved it. So
Yeah.
that's how I know that city is through you, but I know very little. I'm surprised it has theater. The sports make sense, but
Mhm.
as you grew interest in the arts, was it difficult? Was it a hurdle from other people hearing that you wanted to be in the arts? It sounds like from an early age too.
Yeah, so it wasn't difficult. I mean, people just got it. What became difficult is once I went to Santa Fe and actually understood, more about art and more about what I was trying to do, and then going back and
Yeah,
being like, I see this world entirely different now.
yeah,
Um, it's funny. I always look back at college years, and I'm like, me talking about Chandler was really just to be like, well, this is where I'm from and it works really well. How come, people don't think this way? This is just a
hmm,
weird cognitive dissonance that I went in with. But it's funny because I went back after, really growing up as an artist, or growing out as an artist, and like trying to have a conversation with anybody in that town about art is still
uh huh,
very strange. Like, they get it and they get that it's important, but it's like, I don't know, I guess I didn't really make friends in college until, besides like you and a couple of others that we connected around sports for the most
yeah,
part. But then really, everybody was just, fuck you, man. I'm walking around with state championship baseball rings, and I'm like, why does nobody like me? And it wasn't until I did some art projects where I had zero
Mhm.
artistic influence, and people were like, oh, this is different, this is interesting, all right,
Oh,
we can, I guess, be friends a little bit.
yeah,
um so I don't know, I've always been in this weird world of just not knowing how different I might be from the place I'm in or the people I'm
yeah.
around. But yeah.
I've always find it interesting in a person, because I have a similar experience too. When you find that one thing that you are totally into, that you totally obsess over, I find it more interesting when the person is versatile with the thing. Be like, my thing is movies, and but I also have these interests. That I always
Yeah.
find more interesting. Like I grew up mainly after college, in the cycling world, cycling industry, racing, traveling all over the country. I found cyclists so incredibly boring when it was just racing, racing, racing. Did you watch this? Did you watch this? This one guy races this. I was like, don't, do you guys want to talk about anything else? Like, isn't there anything of interest? Of course, my other interests were completely boring too, but,
Uh-huh.
but like, I would be
Yeah.
like, and then you find your friends that like, you connect and you find the other interests. You're like, you guys ever seen that TV show Sports Night? It's pretty crazy, right? And then people are like, what are you talking about? And then you have to talk about the thing
Yeah.
again. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I get, yeah, because that's how you and I was not in the film department. You were, but we would talk about
Mhm.
sports or we would talk about little pop culture things. And our interests would sort of meld like that. I think it makes for a greater
Mhm.
experience. The one dimensional person I get really bored with a lot of time. Like
Yeah.
this was the college person, is the person who's so obsessed with movies and wants you to know about it. But like, how many times can we hear
Right.
about these behind the scenes stories that we all have the E channel? We know, we heard that story before. We don't need to know about
Right.
that.
Yeah.
What were you like as a kid in Chandler growing up?
Um, pretty singularly focused on sports
Sports was
and
an
telling
early interest for
stories.
you?
Oh yeah, that was sort of my way into the world. My dad was the little league coach, and it was
Mhm.
Baseball Town USA. So I had a lot of success there just because of the fact that, like, my dad was a great coach, and didn't let me know that I wasn't very good at it.
Mhm. Ah,
And so I got a lot of chance to fail, but also I was in the game in those moments where I could step up and, like, really become a star in some sort of way. And I just knew how to win too, and how to work for something. And so that was my thing. It's like, I'm a clutch player, and and I work really hard, and I believed that. Um,
wow.
and Yeah, as a kid, I mean, that went through everything. So like even writing stories, I was going to be like, I would I would write down like all the time. I was just writing all the time.
Hmm.
I had it one year. I decided that I was going to read Arnold Schwarzenegger's Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding, and that's like,
Uh-huh. How
it's
old
this
were you?
big. I would have been 12.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. And so the summer that I was 13, I was going to follow along with that, trying to eat 5,000 calories
Oh.
like Arnold Schwarzenegger, because I was definitely going to play college football, obviously. Um,
At least go
um,
to state.
yeah, yeah, right.
State was a big deal. I don't care
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where you live. Going to state is a big deal. I don't know what
Yeah,
going to state means. We never went to state. I just know you went to state and you talked about it for the next 7.5 years.
yeah, right. Oh man, hilarious. Um, anyway, I implemented this like ride to the gym in the morning, workout, ride to the basketball gym and shoot hoops, ride back home and write for a little while, swim, and then
Oh,
hit in the batting cage and then work out again. And like that was my summer. And
uh-huh.
and I'd be, I don't know how many times I really pulled that off, but that was like I was dedicated to that, and writing was
Yeah.
inside of that too.
And
So
writing within
yeah,
that too. That's interesting that you had this
yeah,
mind and body thing going.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like I don't think I ever realized how important that sort of discipline was for myself. I just did it because I thought, oh well, I have to. This is what I am, so I have to do
Hmm.
it.
Yeah. It's I always, liken sports to like an early job or early life lesson for kids because you work hard at something during the week. You try and be a good teammate. You try and be a good team. You implement your plan, and come Saturday, you may fail at that
Yeah.
plan, and you have to
Yep.
learn how to lose, and you have to learn how to pick yourself up.
Yep.
I just remember like the first sports team I was on, like on the fifth grade. I never play. I was on the football team. I don't play, but like you're totally invested. And we lose the first game of the season, and I just start crying. I didn't even play. I didn't even play. The coach didn't even know my last name, and we lost the game, and I cried. And at some point, like my mom or my dad, or maybe the coach was like, "We still got 8 games to go. You better get your shit together because you can't be
Yep.
crying on the sideline like here." I'm like, "Okay, okay, I don't know
Yep.
what to do with myself." And then
Yep.
like by the seventh and eighth grade, like you're like a man. You're in your own head. You're like, "I
Right.
got this dialed. I got this dialed. I know how to take this." It's funny. That's
Yep.
what you learn as a kid. Well, I think sports kind of get neglected so much is like you have to learn how to take some losses as a kid.
Hmm.
You have to like put some effort in and realize like, oh, it may fucking fail. Or when
Right.
you achieve it, like it is the best feeling in the world. That
Yep.
that feeling when you get to go in seventh grade to the pizza place after the game
Yeah.
and, and you get to
Right.
eat pizza in your jersey.
Yep. That's nothing better than that right there.
So you played baseball. That was your main sport growing up?
Yeah, that ended up being the main sport just because we could always do that. One summer we played 50 games
Hmm.
span of 2 or 2.5 months or something like that.
Hmm.
And we went to state. Uh,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, I mean, I turned out to be, especially in junior high, I was magnificent at
Oh,
football. Um,
football too. You
yeah.
incorporated football into your arsenal.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Describe your game. What was how would you describe yourself as a football player? What position
Oh,
did you play?
I played tight end and defensive end,
Really?
and
You're a pretty
yeah,
slender guy. How did you do
yeah.
that?
I had no business playing there, but it was,
Oh,
I started out in the old school.
this was 11 on 11, right, Jake? This wasn't
Yeah,
many
yeah, yeah.
7-on-7 games.
Yeah, no, this was not 7-on-7, 11 on 11.
Okay.
Um, and I started at right on the, I guess it would be like early 90s, right? So it was like defenses were still very old school, like seven up front, two
Hmm.
linebackers, and then your backfield. But so essentially, a defensive end was an outside linebacker, and so you're standing up, and all you do is you contain and you go hit somebody,
Hmm.
and that became my style of play. is like, I'm scared of that guy. I better hit him before he hits me.
Hmm.
Uh, and then I would just, I would just run like a wild man. It didn't turn
Mhm.
out so well when I got to high school. I ended up being the hardest. I ended up being Rudy without any kind of skill.
Oh,
Um, and I
skill than
just,
Rudy?
yeah, exactly.
What was Rudy's skill now that we think about it?
He just hustled really hard, and
Not a
apparently
hustle,
he was fast or something. I don't
not a
know.
hustle.
Yeah. I was the kid that was like, I was on the scout team in high school. I was still playing defensive end just because none of the coaches like knew, like nobody cared to put me in a place where I might be better, like an outside
Mhm.
linebacker or something like that. And I never asked because I never actually took the time to learn the game. Like I really didn't understand like coverages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was literally in there to hit somebody as hard as I could.
Huh.
uh, and I was just going 100% during practices and stuff. And so the older, the upperclassmen would just they would go 100% against me just because they knew I was coming for them. And so they would always win. And I just thought I was getting hit really hard all the time. And they would have totally eased up had I just like eased up for a second.
Huh.
But I kind of made myself a name for myself on like a kickoff team or a kick return team,
Ah, yeah. Made a
special
little
teams.
couple special teams plays. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, beeline down the field and pick somebody to
Yeah.
hit and
It
just
sounds
like,
like you were like that one intense player on the team that's like, that dude's a little nuts. Like,
yes,
he's kind of docile on the sideline, but you get in the game, like, he may go nuts. Like, it seems like
yes,
that's the kind of player you were. Cause I remember like all the personalities on the team. Like, there was the one crazy kid, there was the one too shy kid. There was always a kid who was too shy. There, there was the
uh-huh.
one kid whose dad was way too involved in the game. Like, he would stand on the sideline, not the
Right
stands,
behind them. Yeah.
right behind him. And then I don't care where you live, where you're from, every team has a player on the team that everybody calls Hollywood. Every team has that. We
Right.
had it. So it sounds
Yep.
like you might have been the crazy one. Did you have a
Yep.
nickname in your high school football team?
Not not on high school football team. I really ended up just like not being fast enough. Like puberty caught up to me, I guess. I shot up really fast and was
Mm.
magnificent in junior high, and then
Ah,
everybody else caught up to me. And because I was stuck in this position that I didn't really understand,
yeah.
and a defense that didn't understand me, I didn't really stand out until the very end. Um,
Some people say like, my parents growing up just didn't understand me. For you, you're like the defense just didn't understand me. Just didn't
yeah,
get me.
exactly. The defense didn't understand me.
The 4-3 defense just didn't get what I was doing out there.
That's right. That's right. They want me to stand up the tight end and then try to tackle the guy.
Oh, you
No, I'm
want me to
trying to
take
blitz.
on the fullback and then chip? Oh,
Yeah.
come. This is just I can't
Right.
I can't do this. I can't do this. These kids are
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
What did?
Yeah. No. But so baseball ended up being the thing. I was in a good Scoop. They called me Scoop in baseball.
Oh, Scoop, that's a good nickname. That's a good
Yeah.
sports name. I was gonna say you should be Crazy Legs for football. That'd be pretty good. Crazy Legs.
Yeah.
Crazy Legs
I
Snovel.
was I was aiming at Night Train Lane or something. Night
Night
Train
Train.
Snovel.
That's good. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Not enough playing time though.
Yeah, that's true. You need to have playing time to get a nickname. Maybe that's why I never
Hmm.
got one either. What did
Yep.
your parents do?
My dad was a car dealer, so he ended up
That's
jumping
right. I
in.
remember this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Chrysler,
we,
Jeep.
yes,
What am I
yep.
remembering here? Yeah.
Chrysler, Jeep, and Dodge. Yeah,
Ah,
all the
that's right.
all the
Dodge was in
Chrysler stuff. Yeah.
there.
So we had Dodge trucks. He ended up getting in early with Dodge just before they had their they shifted their whole like body style and brought in engineers to you know take on a whole new look and new engines and all that stuff. But he was in just before that.
Hmm.
So the corporation really took off with him in this small town, selling trucks, and he knew how to sell straight to farmers basically,
Hmm.
and became one of the top dealers in the nation really for trucks. And so he was killing it.
Wow.
But then and so my mom got to stay home. She got to do the house,
I see.
duties.
Yeah. What was your favorite Dodge vehicle over the years? Did you have favorites? I remember as a kid, I had favorite trucks and stuff, and I
Oh
put
yeah.
posters on my walls. Yeah. What was your favorite vehicle over the years?
I had a Dodge Stealth,
Mm,
or I got to drive a Dodge Stealth. We didn't own any cars. That was the other cool
right.
thing. Instead of owning cars, we would just drive them off the lot and take a tax write off on them, and call them a like a demo car or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And so we would rotate cars, and yeah, it was awesome. But so for about 3 months, I drove a Dodge Stealth, which
Mm,
was uh, amazing.
yeah.
To be
Yeah.
like 17 and you're driving a Dodge Stealth.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. You're driving around a Dodge Stealth. People are calling you Scoop. The defense
Yeah,
doesn't understand you. Sounds
yeah, yeah,
like a pretty good late high school experience here.
yeah, yeah. I had a lot going for me. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. And then where does the interest in movies really begin for you? Where did you think like I want to go to college or I want to study something in this world? Where did that start for you?
I think, it really started, actually, it goes pretty far back into junior high where, picking up the camera and getting the kids to, the rest of my friends that do some dumb shit
Hmm.
on camera. But when I figured out how to edit, and I started to see that magic of like, you can look this way and you look that way, and like, you can make things like connect in a strange way. Everything just lit up in my mind, and I
Hmm.
knew like I wanted to do that professionally. And so I started looking very early on for where I could go to specifically do film. And I knew that I didn't want to do TV because I like hated TV at that time. Like, and I didn't want to get stuck in, news broadcasting. That seemed to
Hmm.
be like all the stuff colleges always talked about, um, or they'd lump it in. And I really wanted to find a specific program that would teach me how to be for that forever. I even would get like the like Variety.
Oh
I
yeah,
would pick up the trade
the
magazines,
trades.
and yeah, yeah,
So you were
and
that
I
kid
would,
growing up who was like
oh,
getting Entertainment Weekly in the mail, reading
yes,
Variety, watching the E channel.
yep,
You were
yep.
that kid. That
I
makes sense.
I didn't have E, but until college.
Oh
But
really? Hmm.
I had the trades. Yeah, I think I had
Hmm.
Entertainment Weekly. I had Game Pro, and I had ESPN, the magazine. Or no, no, no,
Oh yeah,
it
yeah.
was Sports Illustrated. And then I'd get Variety whenever I could, and I would read box office reports and numbers
Hmm.
like box scores, because that was
Right.
kind of how I understood the world. Like,
Yeah.
pick up the Sunday paper and read baseball box scores. I'd
Right.
pick up the trades and I'd read box office numbers and stuff.
Hmm.
So, so I was like, I was in it. I was looking for it, and really, I thought, well, I must have to go to USC because that's the only place you ever heard anything about an actual film school, and that was just because
Yeah.
USC had, the film school generation of like Ron Howard and all them, um, who didn't finish film school. But
Hmm.
um, yeah,
Whatever happened to
that's
that
where it
guy?
was.
I think he did all right.
Yeah, yeah, they might have. I don't know. And I think so. I was looking for it, and then I went to some like college career or college fair in Oklahoma, and there was like one person from the College of Santa Fe that was in the mix of all these things, and they had just she didn't even know, whoever it was didn't even know much about the film program, but was like, we have it. It's called Moving Image Arts, and here's the brochure on it. And they shot some movie. I think it was like City Slickers 2 or something. I was like,
Oh
wait,
yeah, yeah.
really?
City Slickers was in Santa Fe. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
good movie.
yeah.
You
Part
know,
two.
it's a little weird to watch now.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
I watched it a few years ago, and my girlfriend's watching with me, and she goes, "Wait, was Billy Crystal a thing in the '90s?" I'm like, "Yeah, he
Right.
was." And then
Yeah.
I had nothing to say after that. It was
Yeah.
like there was a time where like I think adults were like, Billy Crystal might be our guy, but then two
Yeah.
weeks went by and we're like, that was about it. So you get interested from just the college fair. You're like, is
Yeah.
this a school I can attend?
Yeah, I actually kind of I put that kept that brochure and I was like stacking up a bunch of stuff, trying to figure out, like, all right, maybe I can figure out a film career if I go for acting on stage at
Hmm.
this one place, or maybe this place is going to give me a scholarship for baseball. I had a couple of scouts that were looking
Oh
at me.
yeah.
I don't know why I wasn't that good, but I at least had conversations.
Yeah.
Um,
But you
but
could have put together, since you had the interest in film, like a kick-ass highlight reel of
Yeah,
yourself. That could have got you a little bit further than most other people.
I did put together one. It wasn't very long. It did include me making a one-handed catch in the back of the end zone to
You gotta you
win a
gotta find
game.
this video.
Yeah. I also I put on it too because I'm looking back on this and I'm like, everything inside of me was trying to make movies. It was and do art. It was not trying to make it in sports. Just everything inside of me
Hmm.
was trying
Okay,
to
so you knew
really.
that. You knew that
I
at that
I
age. You're
didn't
like,
know it.
it can't be sport. Oh, you didn't
No,
know it.
I didn't know it. It's just like looking back on it, it was like there were signs that I didn't have to do sports.
Mm.
But I put in my highlight reel me getting run over by Heisman Trophy winner Jason White twice.
Oh. And that was your highlight. You made that
Yeah,
your.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
interesting. Well, you got
Because
to
I
work
went,
with what you got. I see where
yeah.
you're going with this.
For me, it was like, this is hilarious. I and also it's a famous guy, so I'm going
Yeah.
toe to toe with a famous guy or somebody that's
Okay.
gonna be
Yeah.
famous because he was like huge, blue chip. He was like signed into OU, and it was a big deal. Everybody knew he was gonna go win the Heisman and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Um, so like I was like, I'm putting Jason White in my highlight reel. And remember
Mhm.
when I went toe to toe with him, and I'm just like, and it's hilarious because he just puts his head down. And I'm just like splat. And I also made it on the news, and I'm because he returned the opening kickoff against us, and I'm in the background. I'm the only one still hustling after him.
Oh, Crazy Legs. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. So you got video of you going toe to toe with Jason White, getting
Uh,
trucked, and
yeah,
chasing Jason White.
yeah.
And
On
those
the
were
news.
your highlights.
Yeah, that's right.
He probably watched that. He was like, I totally forgot about that play. Put that in my highlight reel.
Yeah, right.
I want that. Look at me. He'd be like, look at me. I trucked Crazy Legs.
Yeah, that's
Give
right.
me another scholarship.
I mean, he
Definitely.
does a lot of air conditioning commercials around here in Oklahoma now, so
Oh, you
you
would
know,
team up with him again.
I could totally put him in a movie.
Yeah, now we're talking. Now it's come
Yeah.
full circle here. You always had this like interest beyond just the movies. Like you wanted to make them, you wanted to edit
Yep.
them, you wanted to tell the story. Was there a movie early on that inspired you to say like I have to make something like that, or like that movie you saw? Because I talked to another person who went to college with. I talked to James Bustamante, and I
Uh-huh.
asked him this question, and he was like, Pat, for me, it was Goodwill Hunting. I saw that and I had to be in
Wow.
that. And I was like, I was about the same age. I was like, I remember people flipping out over that
Yeah.
movie. Not only because it was a good movie, but because the story of the two guys wrote the movie. They were in the movie. They casted the
Yeah.
movie. Like it was just such a top to bottom story that I think people
Hmm.
of that age, like people who were, my age, teenagers looking to find an interest. And for James, he was like, I have to make that like these guys did. He saw like
Yeah.
a path in it. So what was your movie? What did you see that you had to engage in this endeavor?
Yeah.
Was there
I
even a
have a
movie? Was it
rare,
simple?
it was the boringest answer. It was Star Wars. Um,
Hmm.
and then uh, and then Mortal Kombat, the video game.
Really?
Um,
Mortal
yeah.
Kombat, the video, not even the movie, the video game?
Yeah. No, 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 the video game.
Man.
Because and here's why, because it's similar, like James's answer is so much better because it was an actual movie and a good movie.
Right.
Mine was that I was so inspired by Star Wars, but I saw how dumb it was. The veil lifted after I watched it so many times. I was like, well, that's a puppet. That's easy. I can do
Uh-huh.
that. And then just and a whiny kid out in the desert walking around. And in
Hmm.
my mind, I was like, I could, that's easy. I
I
could
can be
easily
that
do
whiny
that.
kid.
Um, yeah, totally. I thought it was terrible acting.
Huh.
Um, maybe it's arguably still terrible acting. Um,
Really?
but
Wow. Star Wars is catching a lot of strays on this interview.
yeah, I got a hot take for it.
Hot
Um,
take. Jake Snovel does not like Star Wars. Crazy Leg Snovel throws
even
bull.
though I'm a Star Wars nerd. Yeah.
No.
No, it was like I seriously, it lifted the veil for me of like movies aren't just a movies. People aren't just a movie. People made them, And then and I got Star Wars. I was in the Star Wars fan club, so I got all these magazines, and there's a lot on George Lucas. And then I got what's the movie they just drive around town all night. American Graffiti.
American Graffiti. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the other one. I was like, this is my high school experience right now. I'm living this. This is people driving around. Um, and it's really good. And that told me that I could actually make a career out of what I was doing anyway, which was picking up the camera and going. The video game, I was trying to I was locked into beating that game, and then I read the comic that went along with it and found out that the characters had backstories.
Uh-huh.
And I think GamePro had this like joke or crack magazine or something, had a joke about moron in like a fighter game. And I thought, you know what? I can do an impression of Forrest Gump. I can do a backstory of this video game, and then I can do fight scenes. And that is how I started making movies with my friends, trying to do fight scenes whenever I was doing anything in order. So I was like, I could put all these things as fantastical elements of Star Wars. I can just come up with anything, basically. If it's funny, it doesn't have to look good. I can, put together a backstory that's basically a scene of how people like came to a fighting tournament, and the rest of the movie can be fight scenes that I want to do.
Wow. Now I see I was like, how's it going to bring Mortal Kombat into this? Now I see how you got this in here. And at the end, I kill a kid. And then I was like, oh, all right.
I ripped his spine out.
Wow. Jake really goes for it for his art. That's interesting because, when you're in high school, there's always kids emerge as leaders in high school. Like we're like, all right, we got to do a film project. You guys can get six people can get together and make a film project for your semester grade. And one kid would always take the reins with that.
Yep.
Like, all right, you're going to be doing this. We're going to your house. I'll get the camera. Like one kid will take the lead on that. I wasn't in any sort of movie industry, but in cycling, there would always be one guy who would want to put together a team. And he's like, I'll get the sponsorships. I'll get a van. And I would just be like, sounds like a lot of work. Like, call me when you want. I'll be here. Call me. I'll be ready. But there would be one person that would want to take on this workload, and they would see the vision in their head so much differently than someone like me. You'd be like, okay, but it sounds like you were that guy. You're like, I can put all this shit together myself. And and I just need you to go along with me. Would that describe you accurately, you think, or was it different?
Yeah, 100%. I think another thing that leads into that is I knew how to do it because I had been in community theater, and just watching a whole team come together and even just paint the the backdrops or build a balcony for somebody to fall off to the side, or all that. I watched that behind the scenes thing happen. So then it just became a thing of all right, well, yeah, you take care of that. You bring those types of clothes. You
Yeah.
And nobody else was going to do it. So it was either tell people how to get here and when to show up and what to say, or don't have a movie. That's exactly why I'm a producer now.
So now it brings us to college. Now you're in college, and this is where we're to the point where you and I intersect our paths. What are your recollections of that college? Because we went to a very small liberal arts college. That was, I think, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but it was veiled as a film college. Um, but it was very unusual of a school in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So what are your recollections of that school
Yeah.
10 plus years beyond now?
It still blows my mind that that got to be my experience of
Yeah.
college. Nobody else has the same experiences, and I'm like I'm super grateful for it. But
Mhm.
it was really hard for me to, um, uh, I guess, fit in a way. But really, it was just because I had that cognitive dissonance of coming from a small town and
Mhm.
like going, why do people act this way? And just like
Oh,
it was
really?
a culture shock.
You had culture shock with it, really?
Oh yeah, so bad,
Uh-huh.
so bad. Nobody. I mean, people hated me. I did show up.
People
Listen, I
hated
get
me.
it.
I don't
I
remember people hating you.
oh, I felt like they did. Well, I mean, I seriously did show up with state championship baseball rings on and wearing them, and like and like windsuit pants and polos because I dressed like a coach or something. And and instead of like getting a job at in the film like cage or whatever so I could learn, I didn't
Mhm.
even know that I could learn the equipment by getting a job there. I
Mm.
just thought that I had to already know what I was doing to get a job. So I
Right.
got a job at the Driscoll Fitness Center,
Oh yeah,
because
that's right. You
I
worked
know
at
how
the
to work out.
gym. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. I remember you worked at the gym. You would sign people
yeah,
in.
that's right.
Hey, crazy legs, can I get a basketball?
Yeah,
And you'd be like, gotta sign you out for that. I was
yeah,
like,
right.
all right.
Usually not. I was terrible at that job because I did not care if anybody wanted to sign in, and I wasn't about to ask them for their ID.
Mm, that's
Just let them
true.
go through.
Yeah, you were a terrible employee. As much as you were focused and motivated in the film industry, you were not a good employee at the fitness center, Jake. Your interests were
Thanks for that.
elsewhere.
Yes, they
Your
were
interests were
definitely
elsewhere.
elsewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, I did not want to talk to people. That was another problem. I didn't know how to be
Really?
social.
That
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
surprises me because I don't remember you being antisocial at all.
Well, we had sports,
Cool.
man.
Yeah, you and I would play intramural sports and like go to the gym and do that
Yeah,
stuff. That's true. Yeah, yeah. And then
yeah,
we would talk sports too. You know, if we
yeah,
went to lunch or something, we would just sort of chit chat about
yeah,
sports and things like, which I found refreshing because it seemed like not only did people not have like an interest in sports at the art school, they hated sports. Like
yeah.
they were
Exactly.
mad at sports. I was like, I think
They
you're
were
mad
mad
at
at
your
it.
stepdad or something or an angry health teacher. Like what?
Yeah.
Like it's just inter-
Some team gave you a wedgie.
Yes. Right. It's so funny because we went to a very small liberal arts slash hippie school. So all the
Mhm.
outcasts go to that school, essentially.
Yep.
All the dweebs, all
Yep.
the nerds, all the theater geeks, all the burnouts. And then
Hmm.
they go there because they never fit in at their school and they were ostracized. And what do you think those groups of people do when they all find each other? They
Yep.
ostracize the people who are different than them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Little old
And
Pat Ramirez is like, you guys like watching football on Sunday? Fuck
yeah.
you. Did you guys
Yeah.
not see this funny detail of it all? But you're so young, like you can't help it. That's
Right.
what you do. But it was
Yeah.
funny. It's like I saw that. I was like, well, you guys are just being the bullies that bullied you now, just in a different
Yeah.
direction. So
Yeah.
you did
And
notice it too.
oh gosh, yeah. I mean, I had such a hard time too because I mean, I came from yeah, green rolling hills,
Hmm.
uh, three sport all star in my mind,
Hmm.
and
State championship.
state championships, man. And and
Dodge
I
stealth.
was yeah, Dodge Stealth. I was driving a convertible sometimes. Sometimes it's a brand new truck.
Think Star
You
Wars
know,
sucks.
yeah. I could
Sorry,
say
I'm only gonna
that.
do 7 more of those, and then that's it.
Yeah. They were making fun of me, at my school for saying Star Wars sucks. They didn't have an
That's
intellectual
right.
conversation. uh, and and I was a student class president also, or
Oh wow.
yeah, not student. I was the school president actually,
Wow, you didn't
the
tell me that.
student council president. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow, someone needs to
So
update their Instagram.
I know, right? I need to put that on there. I think I already updated it to just the potato you're looking for or something like that. Um, uh, but yeah, I mean, it was weird. and I kind of didn't feel like I had this Midwestern like chip on my shoulder of like, oh yeah, everybody's out to get white conservative Christian kid. So of course I gotta
Ah,
fight the power, the
oh, you
evil
felt that.
power of
Yeah,
liberalism.
you had a religious base to you. I do remember that, and you felt
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there was some opposition to you, huh?
Oh yeah, man. It was big time.
Hmm. Wow. Was that
I came in.
difficult? Was that like a struggle to meet people who were not religious? Or I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth. How was it to meet
Oh,
people like that?
well, I mean, it wasn't difficult, but I really did have a hard time like figuring out like that they had a different point of view and it was okay.
Hmm.
Because I came like at that time too, I was coming from a holy roller church of like, mostly black congregation. My two best friends are like, holy rolling black dudes,
Hmm.
brothers, and
What
and like
religion are you?
we Christian.
I see.
But yeah, we were praising the Lord.
You're
I
praising?
mean, praising in
Did you do
tongues.
church
I
videos
mean,
like in like the high school years? Would you make church videos and stuff? I knew a lot of people who would do that.
I never actually got to do that, but there
Huh.
is one of the greatest stories is me coming back home a little later on as sort of like, I think I was a senior finally, my senior year, like I'd finally chilled out a little bit on on, fighting people having different viewpoints. And but I was like a celebrity at this point because I had gotten away from Chandler and was going to film school. And I think it was
Ah.
like just when I was like about to be on, the set of The Missing and stuff. So I was big celebrity. And this basically mostly black church decides to have me play Jesus in the Easter play.
Oh.
And I didn't know it.
How did you not know it? What do you mean?
They didn't tell me. They just like
Uh-huh.
my best friends Ephraim and Johan. I think you ended up meeting Ephraim, or maybe
I think I met your two black friends. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't mean to say it that way. Hey, Jake, bring your black friends. I want to meet them.
Yeah, yeah, right. My only two. No, they convinced the church to put up the money for this epic play that they were putting on by saying, and we're going to have Jacob play Jesus.
Ah, wow.
Yeah.
Great White Hope.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly. Just so hilarious to
That's the
be in a
video
black
I want.
church.
Of all the videos you brought up that exist out there, that's the video I want of you playing Jesus to a black
Oh
church.
God. I
That would be
was
great.
for sure at any point that the church was going to get struck by lightning and I was going to die in a church fire because they built this massive throne where I'm in Jesus outfit, with the beard, and my head's about to touch the top of the ceiling on this huge throne. And it ends with the play. Everybody in the congregation and the angels that are in heaven are like praising Jesus, but it's just me at the end of the play, and everybody's praising me and like singing this song, and I'm like, oh God, no. I started to get a little, like a little bit of a big head because they're praising me, and I was the celebrity. I was
You're
like,
like,
I'm
repent,
definitely getting struck
heathens.
by
You're like,
lightning.
Jake, that's not in the
Yeah,
script. You can't go on
yeah.
like that.
They tried to close the curtain and the curtain wouldn't close, so
Uh,
the song just went on repeat, and everybody's
huh.
actually singing the song. And I was just stuck on the throne going, guys, we got to end this has to end.
Wow, how ominous for Jesus to say this has to end.
Yeah,
Brutal.
right.
Brutal church you went to. If I went to your church, maybe I would have enjoyed religion more. Your church sounds wild. Church
It
sounds
was
like
wild.
WWE.
It was wild. We had some fun. But anyway, so it was difficult to think that I wasn't, to realize that I wasn't on some mission
Ah,
to change the hearts and minds, or that I had to be
wow.
perfect also. Or
Oh,
I could
wow.
just
You really
even
had
just like
influence like
figuring out,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Or
Uh-huh.
even just being able to listen to
Yeah.
people talk and like, and just have fun, like understanding people that I had never met before from different backgrounds and
Yeah.
stuff. Like I didn't really come in in the best mindset to experience other people and other cultures. So
Yeah.
I
Why?
missed
Yeah.
out on that, but
Where do you
it's
think
pretty
that
funny though.
comes from? Why do you think you were closed off like that?
I mean, coming from the Midwest, growing up,
Mm,
Christian and being in a space too of like evangelical Christian,
hmm.
like, well, we've got to hold the line. I thought that I had to be so perfect because I was a certain thing,
Hmm.
um, that when I even talked about it to other people, it just didn't make sense to them, and it just sounded like I was going to try and preach to them and
Yeah.
save them or something. I
Uh-huh.
don't know. I
Where
don't
are
know.
you with it now? What is your religious base or your faith now? Has it changed? How so?
Yeah. I stick with Christianity. It
Sticking with the
makes the most.
Christianity, huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of times, I mean, I do credit the College of Santa Fe for like getting me to actually like read the Bible for what it is and try and figure myself out based on
Hmm.
those kinds of teachings and stuff, and especially the brothers that were there as main teachers. I mean, I absolutely loved them. One of them asked me if I wanted to go have a beer with them one time, and it just blew
Oh,
my
really?
mind. Yeah, and so I consider myself a Christian despite Christians at this point, because I'll
CJ, you
call
can
them up.
never fit in, can you? You
I
don't
know I
want to
can't.
fit in. I figured it
It's
out.
my
You don't want
problem.
to fit in.
That is my problem. I'm a disruptor. Like I do.
The
Like,
Disruptor, 9 p.m.
yeah,
Central.
I like calling, people out on their understanding of scripture and stuff all the
Mm.
time,
Oh,
and
you're
just
that
say,
guy.
yeah, I'm that guy. I'm like,
Scripture talk.
you don't make a lot of sense. You can't tell people what to do. Here's this,
Mm.
this, and this. But I'm a teacher naturally, so that's sort of where I am. And I learned that from the brothers too.
Hmm.
I very much was like, I
Hold
think it
on,
was
just to
Brother
catch up.
Mouton that
Are we
said,
talking brothers,
yeah,
educators, or black guys? You gotta stop throwing these terms at me. Sorry.
yeah, 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 right. Brothers from the colleges had a
Oh,
pay, the
okay. Sorry, Christian
educators,
brothers. Okay, don't worry. I'll cut
the
all this out.
monks,
Yeah, I'll take all
or
this
the
out. Don't
male
worry about
nuns, I guess they were.
it. Male
Yeah,
nuns.
yeah.
Okay, start
Seems like
talking
it
again
could
now.
be in there. It's funny. Yeah. No, I think it was Brother Mouton that said to me, or it said in the class, I'm a fan of Socrates. I'll ask questions, you ask questions, we all learn, and
Hmm.
that's sort of where that's who I am now, of
Huh.
like, uh, I don't, yeah, faith is very personal to me. And sometimes that I don't, if people ask questions, I'll tell them what I see, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, when people ask me questions, I also tell them what you see. So I understand.
that's great. Give me a Jesus complex again.
Crazy legs. So
Yeah.
now you're out of college. Where's the step
Yeah.
where you start working professionally in the film industry? How
Mm.
do you what do you want to do first? Because I'm always so interested in the years post college. Like we always say, like those college years,
Yeah.
you learn so much. For me, it's the years after college where you are really on your own as an adult. So for you, what's
Mhm.
the step out of college? You know you want to be in the film industry. Did you have any interest in moving to the West Coast, or you knew you were coming back to Chandler?
Like when I talk about Chandler being great, and I have the full understanding that Chandler is a small town and it sounds ridiculous
Uh-huh.
for anybody to say that, and the fact that I live there is even crazier
Hmm.
now. It's just a great place to raise kids, because you get that experience of, like sports, you perform on the largest stage that your prepubescent mind can understand,
Hmm.
and you fail and you succeed, and you can also not get away with anything because like the people who coached me are coaching my kids, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
um anyway, but I came back, I high school sweetheart was still with her, and she had a year to finish out in college, and I just saw everybody kind of running from college into the West Coast, into LA in this rat race. And I thought, I don't know as much as them as far as like how to get movies done. I'm just like, I'm a really good writer. I had a lot of success in college as a director. I was on Ron Howard's movie as his apprentice while I was shooting there. And I earned that. I was a director of the big school movie. That was earned. Even if I didn't have to beat out very many people. So I really felt like I could do those things, but I still need to understand, like, what does that rat race look like, and who's ever going to help, what good does it do to put Ron Howard was my teacher on a resume? Like, how do I get a resume into, movie studio to get a movie made? Like, I just did not see a pathway. And it sounded like it was going to suck for everybody moving out there. So I think a lot of that, and maybe a little fear of like not wanting to necessarily cut my teeth as a, PA or something, made it an easier choice to go back to Oklahoma and see if Ashley, my high school sweetheart, I could finish out college, and then for her, and then figure something out of like, all right, where should it go? Let's give it some time. I had a screenplay that got into Warner Brothers as well, and it was about Chandler in the Depression. It was based off of a award-winning children's novel, and so I really felt like, well, I've got all the package of what should happen for me to direct a movie coming out of college. So I don't have to be in LA for that to happen. Sort of that was in my mind. Like, I didn't know how to connect those dots. So I felt like I could just like keep going and sort of do the family side stuff, go through those like steps first, while this thing percolated, because I was always going to have what I did and accomplished as a director under me, and I was always going to have this screenplay under me. So I just didn't know what the next steps were. That turned into me working for a college out there in Ada, which you actually visited. Well, no, you didn't visit the college, but you visited me and Ashley while we were there in Ada.
Okay, that's right. I did visit you once. Yeah, back in like 20 years ago.
Yeah, one of my favorite stories of I don't know if I get to tell it about you though.
Oh, really? You have a story about me?
Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, I want to hear this story.
Your visit just happened to coincide with Mexican casserole night.
Oh yeah, I kind of vaguely remember this story.
And it was basically just white people's version of a casserole.
Yeah.
With way too much cheese.
That's right. I thought you were like throwing out the red carpet for me. Like,
yeah, right.
Here I come in with my olive skin and my easy at the end of my name, and they're gonna make me a Mexican casserole. These people are so nice. I love it. Yeah. I love this. I don't know if it was you or not, but I think you were like, we got a Mexican restaurant here. And I'm like, you do? Cool. And you're like, yeah, it's called Mexico. Is that you? Am I remembering this right? Where you're telling me about a fast food Mexican restaurant called Mexico?
Yes.
That is you. Okay. I thought so.
If it's not me, we definitely, if it wasn't Mexico, there was another one that was a fast food restaurant. There's something close to that. And they also, it had a Mexican side of the rest of the menu, and it had a Chinese side of the menu. So you could get one or the other.
Oh, wow. East against West. That's right. Yeah. Cooked by the same guy.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. There's your next movie, Jake. Forget this. Forget this other stuff. You need to write a movie about Mexican food and Chinese food being cooked by the same person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
Pretty sure it was a Korean family.
Interesting.
Which is even better.
You didn't tell me Chandler had Koreans.
Well, this was Ada, which was
sorry.
Yeah, sorry. The college town version of Chandler. So anyway, ended up staying in college or staying in that college town for a little while, and I got free tuition. So I was kind of losing money not getting a master's degree. So stayed a little longer. Ended up having kids as well during that time. So that stuck me there a little longer,
Mm-hmm.
not being able to really explore getting into the industry or like taking those next steps. I'm still kind of thinking in terms of like, well, I know I can, the next steps to doing this family side of what I'd want to do. And it wasn't until I moved to Moore, Oklahoma, and got a job in career tech, vocational education, that I met a guy named Mickey Reese. And he could not help himself but make movies. And he only did features. And at that point, I was also like, I hated short films because it's all the work and none of the glory. And that's all I did in film school, and I had seen all the versions of dumb short films. And if I feel like short film should be something experimental, it's a different form than a narrative. So that was sort of my take on it.
Well, for a quick question,
this guy, yeah.
For the uneducated, what's the difference between a short film and a feature? I mean, other than length, I know, but how would it vary structurally and story wise?
Yeah. So, well, that is sort of not a lot of people think in those terms, but I think of a short film as a completely different art form that should be, it doesn't have to have the structure of an arc, a story arc like a feature film does. And because you don't have as much time to capture an audience, what you have to do is either break their expectations visually or subvert it, or throw them into the middle of a story with almost archetypal characters, or archetypal characters and subvert their understanding of the world they're in, or flip that. And then you can, tell a story. A lot of people try to condense a feature film into 30 minutes. And that just ends up like just not telling your story as well as you want to.
Yeah.
And that gets frustrating for me as like a viewer, just because I'm like, oh, okay, I see the same trope. There's a guy walking across the horizon in the distance for a very long time while like, credits go on and stuff. And it's like, why have credits? Like, let's, it's like painting a landscape on a very tiny canvas. Like the detail that you decide to put in that landscape should probably fit the size of the canvas. You should probably make it for that size of the canvas. That's sort of, I guess that's my take anyway.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
I could see it being very difficult to put your project into such a small amount of time. I could see that being actually the hardest part of the whole thing.
Yeah. So I really encourage people to play with their format, or play with like visual references and stuff like that. Which is, anyway, that's the way I see it.
What would be the ideal project for you? Do you see yourself directing or acting, producing all three of them? And do you ever see yourself leaving Oklahoma to continue the film career?
Yeah. So, that is an awesome question. I think
Thank you.
No, and I mean that, I don't even mean that as like a filler. It's, I think, I've just always been in the mode of, I just want to tell stories. And that's been the thing that's led me to produce movies and work with Mickey Reese and Kyle Harris, who did the last thing I did. Kyle Roberts did the very last thing I did. Just supporting someone telling their story and telling the story the way they want to do it. And so because I've been in that mode, it's made me a good producer. But as far as like why I got in, and that is why I got into making movies, but really for me, why I loved writing, why I loved acting, and why I love directing are three. I'm really led to those jobs in three different ways. And I think as far as writing is concerned, the dream project as a writer would be, now it's really like something like a HBO limited series, like something like Succession, I think would be phenomenal. Like or like a version of Succession that happens in the independent film world.
Hmm.
Just being able to write the characters that you meet and like how it applies to the rest of the world, and like there are archetypes that exist in the film industry across like across like size of budgets and
Uh-huh.
across the nation. Like people like get like the sound guy's always weird, and
Ah,
the DP is typically
yeah.
always pretentious in some sort of way. Um,
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
yeah, and producers are like they're nuts and they're stressed out and
Hmm.
they pay attention to different things, and getting a group of producers in a room together is the weirdest thing to watch because you can tell how each producer is going to be completely not helpful in a series of ways.
Oh, I see. You could harness all this. Yeah, you could
Yes,
put,
yeah,
and like if there's anything like the general public has less knowledge about, it's behind the scenes of movie stuff. And if there's something the general public wants more of, it's behind the scenes movie stuff.
right,
It's so
yeah.
weird. Like the movie that popped in my head when you were talking about this is the movie Bowfinger. That
Oh
movie
yeah,
comes out and you get to learn about all the roles about film and stuff like that. And like
yeah,
you may not know what a DP is, you may not know what a script supervisor is, but you're watching, you're like, oh yeah, yeah, that's that guy. That's that guy. Like we all want to seem knowledgeable
yeah.
about these things, but like we just sink our teeth into it when there's behind the
Oh yeah,
scenes movie stuff. When there's a
yeah.
movie
I
about a
mean,
movie, forget it. We love it.
yeah, yeah. That's right. I mean, Bowfinger is like it is a genuinely great movie
I
about
love
making
that
movies.
movie. Yeah,
Every
it's
bit
so
about it. Yeah.
funny. Hmm.
I
Yeah, he's
I
got the
spent one
immigrant
day.
dudes doing the camera work and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's so
Yep.
good.
Yep. I spent one day, and I would love to make this movie too, as an actor, which answers that question. I spent this entire day like trying to pull off or I did pull off this deal to get a signature on a sell for a movie. The same day that I was dealing with pulling off a literal heist, I had
Hmm.
to sneak somebody into a company to get our own movie out from under them off of their servers before they found
Oh,
out.
wow. Oh man. Not only do I want to see the movie Bowfinger, now I want to watch the movie Heat again.
Yeah, right.
You put heist in my brain now, Jake. What are you
Yeah,
doing to me? I got the rest of the day.
I
I
mean,
have to work this afternoon. What are you doing to me?
the heist. I mean, that became a for this movie, and now for all the movies I make, it's like every day's a heist
Mm.
became a like a saying that we have because
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
one day I was trying to pull off getting a tarantula wrangler. Like I had to figure out how to get this. They're not a botanist. I forget what they're called. Anyway, an
Mm.
insect person. I had to get her out of the state fair to get her to drive to our set location to with a tarantula to get it for an actor to
Uh-huh.
be in a scene. But I had to get her away from the state fair,
Wow.
which is a whole other thing. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Also, the general public loves state fairs. Run with
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Run
Especially
with
in the
that. We
middle
love
of,
state fairs.
Oklahoma. It's like
Oh
rednecks
yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. We want some fried cheese.
Yeah,
Put fried cheese in a movie.
that's right.
Cheese. Yeah. You
Yeah.
want to yeah, you got heist going on, you got tarantulas.
Yep.
You're you're a mover and a shaker out there. You're a player.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Well, Jake, I always end all my interviews with I call it the Rotten Tomatoes head to head game. However, for every
Nice.
guest, there is a special theme just for you. This week's theme is movies about post college life. So,
Oh, nice.
the way the game works is you can score points a couple ways. I'm going to read you the description of the movie, and when you think you know it, you yell it out. And then I'm going to put those two
Oh boy.
movies head to head, and you got to try and guess which one has the higher Rotten Tomatoes score. I got 3 rounds for
Oh,
you.
nice.
Okay, so here we
Okay.
go. We have never had a perfect score on this game. We've had a couple of zeros, but we've never had a perfect score. So let's see how you do. I'm going to read you the first description. Yell it out
That would be
when you think
terrible.
when you think you know it. All right, here we go. After college, a woman films a documentary about herself. Her and her friends flounder as they attempt to forge careers and relationships. One friend awaits an HIV test, another tries to come out to his parents, and another gets involved with a yuppie while she maintains a love-hate relationship with a man having an existential crisis.
Oh my God. So it's got, does it have Janine Garofalo and Ethan Hawke? Or is that a different?
What are you trying to taint the judge here? I can't tell you.
Yeah, right.
What is this?
So, I'm not going to know these titles. I'm going to be terrible.
How are you not going to know these? Well, this is really testing your film knowledge here.
See, what I know is I can see shots and I can see tone, and which is funny because I kind of feel like that's not that movie, and but what is it
Come
called?
on, take me through your process, Jake. Come on, dig it out. It's in there. It sounds like it's in there.
I get stopped. My brain wants to stop at Waiting for Godot, which is not even in the remote area. Mm-hmm. But the description of it sounds like every post-college movie you could possibly come up with.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. I could get there very quickly if I had chat AI with me. Ethan Hawke. If I could, I think now my brain is stuck on that, just figuring out what that title is. But I bet that's one of the movies that you've come up with.
Okay.
Is that it?
What? I haven't heard a guess yet. Is that it?
Yeah, right.
The movies that you came up with. Is that it?
Documentary and the HIV test. And I'm just going to say that's it. That's the one. And it is called Gen X. Gen X says howdy. That's the title.
The movie is
Reality Bites.
You got it. The movie is Reality Bites from 1994.
Yep.
You were close. You were close on that one, Jake.
I was very close. Yep.
Yeah, you were going down the right path, but you couldn't quite pull the answer.
Could not pull it. Reality Bites is the one. Yep.
Reality Bites. Good movie. Very, like you said, very Gen X, very like above my head.
Yeah.
To like really enjoy or understand the movie. I'm like, what? What's gay? So,
right.
All right, here we go. All right. Well, that was just the start, so don't be too hard on yourself. All right,
man, if I can't pull that title, we're gonna hurt this entire time.
I know. I should have ended at good question.
Yep.
Next description. A lawyer feels his world is coming undone. He moves into a new place near a college campus. His two best friends start to hang out at the new pad, eventually turning the new place into a wild party pad, much to the ire of the college dean.
Wait, did he graduate college?
I cannot give
He's
you any
lawyer. Is that what you said?
Any new information, Jake? This is just the description.
Right. Hang out at the pad. This is obviously Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Final answer, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. The movie is?
Yeah. Old School.
The movie is Old School from 2003, Jake.
Oh, man. See, that description threw me off for sure. I think I could have pulled Old School if it was about the joining a fraternity or creating a fraternity.
If we had thrown in fraternity, yeah, that might have
got one.
That might have sealed the deal. All right, so your movies are Reality Bites versus Old School. Which one has the higher Rotten Tomatoes score?
Reality Bites, definitely.
Oh, you're going Reality Bites, no question, huh?
No question.
Okay. The results are Reality Bites is 63%. Old School is 60%. You're on the board. You got one, Jake.
Nice.
All right. You got one. I think you got the hang of the game now. So, all right, here we go. Next round. Really, really focus here. You can get these.
Okay.
After finishing college and living at his parents' house, a man tries to figure out what to do with his life. An unexpected diversion, an unexpected diversion pops up when he is seduced by a bored housewife. What begins as fun turns complicated when he falls for another woman.
The Graduate.
From 1967, the movie is The Graduate.
Thank
Very
God I
nice.
got one.
Very nice. Now you're getting the hang of this game, Jake. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
You're on the board. 2 points now. Okay, here we go. Next description. Covering a shift at his convenience store, he passes the time with a friend and neglecting customers. The uneventful day is disrupted by the news of the death of his ex-girlfriend. He now contemplates his current life choices.
Is that dang it, the Kevin Smith movie, Clerks.
From 1994,
Yeah.
Clerks, you got it. Dude, you're on a roll here. Are you a Kevin Smith guy? That he seemed very polarizing too.
I mean, I appreciate everything Kevin Smith does. I didn't run out to see Clerks 5 or whatever that was.
Mhm.
But yeah.
I never get him. I always get excited and I go see the movie and then I go, oh yeah, I don't like Kevin Smith movies.
Yeah, that's sort of my thing too. But
Yeah.
I love hearing him talk. I love hearing him talk about the world. And I love the fact that he just makes movies the way he wants to.
I liked Dogma. That was a funny movie. That was
full of
good,
Dogma.
jokes and like had me guessing the whole way. I like that
Man,
one.
along the lines with my fascination with religion and differentiating between religion and spirituality, Dogma is it. I love Dogma so much.
That's my favorite Kevin Smith movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Jersey.
My favorite Ben Affleck performance also.
Oh, really? Your favorite one, huh?
Oh, his favorite, my favorite monologue. I'll put that.
You mean you liked his monologue in Dogma and not the one in Boiler Room? I don't know if I can go with
That's
you.
right. That's right.
I do love Boiler Room. All right. So your movies are The Graduate versus Clerks.
Yeah. That's really tough because I feel like probably critics hated both. But I'm going to say Graduate. I'm going to say Graduate.
You're going Graduate. Okay. Graduate is 86%. Clerks, 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Dang. Man.
Close scores on that one.
Yeah. I thought the classic would make it win out.
Right. It's tough. Critics love Kevin Smith, I think.
Yeah. Well, you also, Rotten Tomatoes is one of those things too that it takes from the critics of the time.
Right.
So there's no telling.
Good point. You got to think like a critic here.
Yep.
Okay, so now the final round of the head-to-head game. You're on the board. You got 3 points. Here we go. Last one. It's bottom of the ninth. Crazy Legs Snovel is up on the plate. You're down by 2 runs. There's 2 men on base. Your dad's coaching. Here we go. Yell it out when you know it.
Mm-hmm.
Son of wealthy parents, a man graduates from Emory University. Instead of embarking on a profitable career, he chooses to give all his savings to charity, rid himself of all his possessions, and sets out on a journey to the Alaskan wilderness.
Hatchet.
Hatchet?
Yeah, got nothing.
Is that going to be your final answer?
Yeah, that's my final answer.
The movie is
Wild.
Into the Wild from 2007.
That's funny.
Pretty strange movie. I remember watching it and like feeling worse about myself.
Yeah, I forgot all about that movie. Isn't that based off of a young adult novel?
True story. Yeah, true story of a guy who did all that stuff and died in the woods. Spoiler alert, he died.
Right. Which is funny because my guess Hatchet is close to that.
Yeah, it's a weird movie. I think like everybody liked it, and I think because everybody liked it, I went into it thinking I'm not gonna like this because I don't like what, and then I didn't like it. Like there were some holes in it for me. Like there's the scene where he's complaining to Vince Vaughn in the bar, and Vince Vaughn is like, "Dude, what are you running from?" And it's like we need to talk more about that, and then they don't talk about it. Very, very conflicted with that movie. All right. Next movie. Hold on. What's my last matchup here? Okay, here we go. Next movie. Yell it out when you know it. A Harvard grad and computer genius begins to work on a new concept that turns into a global phenomenon. The unprecedented success leads to both personal and legal complications. What is it? Say it again.
The Network.
Hold on. Judges, I'm going to need a little more specifics.
Social Network.
You got it, from 2010. The movie is The Social Network. You had me worried there for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. You get the point. And now our final round is going to be, what do we got? The Social Network versus Into the Wild.
Mm-hmm. Well,
you got to think like a critic. This is your last at bat. Remember, Jake, you got to bring the runners home.
Yeah. That's going to be Social Network.
Going Social Network. Okay. Into the Wild is 83%. The Social Network is 96%. You got it. 5 points on that one. You didn't have any hesitation on that one.
No. I was expecting.
You knew it from the start. Well,
yep. I knew Reality Bites in there. I just couldn't think of the title.
Yeah. That Reality Bites one is going to stick with you.
Yeah, it is.
That was one of those movies where, like, I had the soundtrack way before I ever saw the movie.
Same. Yeah.
You know, I was like, yeah, I got the soundtrack. I'm cool. I listened to Dinosaur Jr.
I'm a bad Gen Xer. Not that.
Yeah. There was a mention of yuppies in there. There was a lot of things above my head in Reality Bites.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jacob Snovel, he's at J Snovel on Instagram. He's got projects going. He lives in Chandler, Oklahoma. Jake, is there any way in life one day you and I can go to Mexico?
Yeah, you bet.
That, and then we'll have our college reunion there. How about that?
I like that. I like that a lot.
Thanks, Jake. I'll talk to you later.
See you, man.
That is it. That is the episode. That is Jacob Snovel, my old college buddy. We spent some time in that college, and man, was it weird. What an episode. Talking upbringing, talking film industry, talking Jake's odd role as Jesus in some sort of play rendition. I don't know if I really got to the bottom of that. Let's let it stay where it is in our memory. I want to thank everybody for listening, and don't forget, if you want to see me doing live stand-up comedy this month, April 22nd, I am at The Sanctuary here in Pasadena, 9 p.m. I will put out more details of that show as it gets close. So, to all our new subscribers, the channel has grown, and it is because of you. So welcome. There is more episodes coming as well. Not to mention, go back into the backlog. I've got a lot of episodes up there as well. Not to mention my stand-up clips. So for Jacob Snovel, for me, Patrick Ramirez, thank you everyone for listening to Running It Back. New episode coming next week. I will see you there.